All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome and good morning. Welcome to Urshel Speaks on this wonderful Tuesday here as we are pushing towards the end of the first month of 2020 already. You know how it works. Time just moves and we keep making things happen. So welcome to this week's edition of Urshel Speaks. As usual, great show, great guests, somebody that you are definitely going to enjoy listening to. But we're going to start off today with Urshel's Words of Wisdom. I know you've been waiting. I know you've been wanting to hear some quality stuff. So let me ask you a few questions. What's the last thing that you learned? What's the last thing that you changed your mind about? What do you believe or know now that is different than what you believed or knew last year, 3 years ago, 5 years ago? And what I'm talking about here, the point that I'm trying to make is I'm not asking how have you improved your golf swing and what did you learn to do with your elbow versus the pivot of your hip and your shoulders. I'm not asking what have you just grown in as far as knowledge or experience that you already have. But have you purposely done, are you purposely doing anything to challenge your thinking, to grow in a way that it changes something in the way that you think? What have you learned about the way other people think? And of course, the reason why I asked this question, last week we had a great group on called Better Angels. So this is 2 weeks in a row. You don't just have to listen to me. So I probably won't have another guest on for 3 or 4 months just to catch up. But here is the thing that I think that is so important, especially for those of us who've had enough birthdays that we feel like we know a little bit about life. We should be consistently challenging even some of the things, and maybe not our core beliefs, maybe some of them. But if we are living a life where we kind of have it all right and we have it all figured out, then we're probably not making the progress that we need to be. We're probably, we talk about the curated media sources that we can all have. When I listen to satellite radio, I can choose to listen to things that agree with everything that I already think and everything that I already believe. And where's the growth in that? One of the gentlemen that I spoke with says, he would go back and research things so that he could understand why he believed what he believed. And I think that that's great. I think it's excellent. But if it's only to validate what you already believe, then guess what? With our good friend, the internet, you can always find the information to validate the thoughts that you already have. And so my challenge, what I'm constantly trying to do, what I'm constantly listening for and trying to judge. Now, again, I know that I'm subjective just like everybody else. I know I have my own biases. I know I have my own opinions about things. And a little secret, I think I'm right about everything. Okay? Everything that I think that I'm right about. Or else I would change my mind and think something differently. The difference is, and I told you this last year over and over again, I'm not afraid to be wrong. And sometimes there's a little bit of pleasure and excitement that I feel when I admit that I'm wrong, or that I learned something that I didn't know, or that I've grown up. But actually saying, you know what, I was wrong. This is what I used to think, and this is what I used to believe, and now I've learned better. And there's almost like a piece of pride that rises up in me when I get to say that out loud, because it proves to me that I'm still willing to learn and grow. I hope I never change. I hope you never do. And I hope you challenge yourself in ways. I hope you listen to some people that think differently than you do. And instead of just asking yourself what someone else thinks, what they believe, how they feel, maybe start asking yourself why. Why do they think and feel and believe that way? Because I think that's where the learning begins, especially as it relates to one another on this human plane. My name's Urshel. That's Urshel's Words of Wisdom for this week. and chew on that a little bit. Let it fall down into your brain. Hopefully, it'll bust open in your heart and create some change in your life. So today we have Alex Fender, a friend, entrepreneur, and fellow Marine.
Hoorah!
Hoorah on the show today. And as I posted on social media yesterday and last night, if you're listening today and you're a business owner, or if you know a business owner, then you need to tag them. You need to share this show today, or you can do your own watch party, whatever you want to do. Because what I know for sure from what I've learned, a matter of fact, I spent just a few minutes in Alex's office yesterday, and I've yet to have a conversation with him. I've yet to go to his office and see what he does, and not be amazed and just learn some things. And I've been a technical person my whole life. Since, way back since I've got my first TRS 81, no, what was it, TRS 80 from Radio Shack, and had the tape recorder hard drive with the cassette, and we write our little programs, and then it put some ones, and since way back then, my time in the Marine Corps was in communications technology, but yet every time I spend time with Alex and see and listen to what he does, I'm actually blown away. And so if you're a business owner, there's some things you're going to hear today. There's some things that you need to understand about what Alex and his team at Funnel Science are doing. So Alex, welcome to the show. Thank you for taking the time to come out.
Thanks for having me. Great to be here.
Awesome. Now, I know that, sometimes I apologize to guests because, I know to be here at 7:45 for a show at 8 o'clock, I'm asking them to wake up early and that sort of thing. Not really the case with you, is it?
No, I was up at 3:30 this morning. I got here before the sun rose, and I tried to pull up the internet connection downstairs, but it didn't quite work.
You didn't get it?
No, so I just spent some time clearing my head and just thinking about the day and planning. So it's good to stay connected, but it's also good just to have some peace away from the internet for a few minutes. So I was fortunate to have 20 minutes away from the internet while I was waiting to get started.
Wow. So it's interesting that you mentioned that, because there's something that I'm going to have a conversation with my wife about this week. There's a guy, and his name is Michael Thomas, and he runs a phenomenal organization called My Possibilities. Let's see if I can get him out on the show one day. This guy's a great leader. And basically what My Possibilities does is, matter of fact, they used to be located near where your office is.
Yeah, we worked with them. We brought our dogs to the office, and then they'd bring over their hipsters.
Gotcha.
And they would walk the dogs around the neighborhood as
right.
part of their training.
This is a guy that finds every opportunity to make tremendous impact in this space. It's great to hear that story. Yeah, now they got this big campus over by the North Texas Food Bank right off the tollway. And and I've gone to him for some advice and to help me expand my mind about the things that we can do in the nonprofit space, because I've got this for-profit mentality in the nonprofit space, and this guy's doing some amazing stuff. And but he's been doing something, and he posted about it yesterday, and I read. But for him and his family, he's been doing something called an electronics Shabbat. And which means basically for, I can't remember if it's a day or for the weekend or maybe 24 hours, but they're shutting off all screens in their house. Parents, kids, just, rewinding the clock a little bit. And so, during this day, if you want to get a hold of them, you probably need to go knock on their door, because they're not looking at their phones, they're not checking text messages. And, and he said they're playing board games, they're doing all sorts of things. And the next morning when it was over, one of his sons, he said, came downstairs and he was checking his calendar, and his son was asking if they could extend their, and so they're doing it weekly, one day a week.
Oh, great.
Which, I think is wonderful. So I'm going to try to be brave enough to interject that into my home. I think my wife would be great with it, because then that'll force me to play some board games and things that she likes to do. And, but yeah, I think it's good to unplug. So Alex, just give us a little bit of background. Where you from? Where'd you grow up? And we know eventually that led you to the yellow footprints of the United States Marine Corps. But give us a little background on where you come from and how Alex came to be.
Sounds great. I grew up in Richardson, Texas. Had a single mom, and we kind of struggled growing up because there was only that one income.
Okay.
Graduated from Bertner High School, and few things about me growing up. Played football. My favorite movie was Top Gun. When I watched the movie Top Gun, it was either like 3 or 4. And at that point, I knew I was going in the military.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to be a naval aviator. That was my plan. But it's not how God destined or had my destiny planned. And so I graduated high school on Friday. I was in boot camp Monday morning.
Wow.
And so now I was in the delayed entry program for a year.
Okay.
A bunch of my family members served in the military, and I have a grandfather that had a Silver Star in World War II.
Oh, wow.
He fought in the Philippines with the Marines. He was in the Army.
Okay.
And was a captain. And then I had several uncles, 3 uncles, Air Force, and 2 Navy that were in Vietnam. And then in my generation of probably 30 or 40 cousins, I'm the only one that joined the military.
Wow.
And as far as I know in my family, I'm the only one that joined the Marine Corps. And somewhere between fate and luck, an Army recruiter, Sergeant Parker, did not show up for his appointment to sign me up. Because originally I was going to go join the Army and follow my grandfather's footsteps.
Wow.
And I had envisioned being a helicopter pilot.
Okay.
And so I go as scheduled. He doesn't show up. I go next door to the Marine office, and being a young, ignorant 17-year-old, I didn't know any better. I thought they were all connected.
Right.
So I opened up the Marine recruiter's door, and there was a Marine back there, Staff Sergeant Watkins, and said, "Hey, do you know where Sergeant Parker's at?" And he goes, "No. Why are you asking?" I said, "Well, I'm here to join, enlist." And he goes, "Have you thought about the Marines?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Why not?" This is verbatim.
Yeah.
Okay. He said, "Well, why not?" I said, "Because all you guys are fucking crazy." That staff sergeant laughed his ass off, just like you're laughing right now.
Nice.
But then he responded back and he said, "Would you listen?" I said, "Yeah, I'll listen." So I came in and sat down. Now, I hadn't given the Marines any thought. I had first gone to the Navy.
Right.
I wanted to be like Tom Cruise and fly the jets on the aircraft carrier, right? And I didn't know the Marines could do that. And so then I went over to the Air Force, and the Air Force recruiter, he was just like, "They're too good for me." I don't know what he thought, but I didn't have a silver spoon growing up.
Right.
And that just was clearly not going to be the culture that I fit into.
Yeah.
I played football. I got into fist fights. I got suspended and detentions. I mean, my mom whooped my ass growing up plenty of times.
Wow.
But this staff sergeant, he probably saw some potential, or he saw something in me and asked me if I'd listen. And when I said yes, he knew he had 5 minutes to give me the compelling speech. Either that or he lied to me. I don't know which one it was. But
maybe
I'll
a
tell
combination of the two.
But they had the Marine poster up on the wall where all the camo paint on, and it was like the recon warriors jumping out of the water with the scuba masks on, and I saw that. And then there was the video. And then I remember him putting his dress blues up on the coat hanger, and he said, "Put this on and see what you look like and how you feel." Urshel, man, at that point, I knew right then and there I was going to have no problems getting women if I joined the Marine Corps.
Dropping panties since 1775.
Yes,
we didn't say that out loud,
but that's exactly how it works.
Wow.
But I was truly blessed because I was on a one-way track to either hell or jail back when I was 17. And thank God for the Marines and intersecting in my life, because it really set a very positive direction. And it really had a pivotal behavior change going in through boot camp to open up my eyes to what the world is. And that's pretty remarkable for somebody 17 to go into and then transform a year later really into a man. And then you come back and you see your friends that are 18 and they're still screwing around as boys, or they're going off to college, you know, on mommy's dollar, and they still haven't figured it out yet. And here I am, I'm already starting my destiny and living out my life.
Wow.
And so that's how I got into the Marine Corps and got started.
You know, with the conversations that we've had up to this point, it's interesting because one thing I didn't know, and one thing that you didn't know, probably, is that I also am a Berkner Ram.
Oh, really?
I graduated from Berkner High School.
What year?
I graduated in '88.
Okay, so I'm 12 years behind you. Graduated in 2000.
Yeah, and it was kind of a similar experience. The recruiters loved Berkner because they had lots of alpha contracts, people that got high test scores.
Yep.
My recruiter was Sergeant Kevin B. Love, and here's the interesting thing.
I know Love.
Yeah, Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a great friend. He was a great recruiter. He made a killing off of my class.
Oh
And
yeah.
but the interesting thing was, I got the postcard in the mail. I was planning to go into the military.
Hmm.
I had my own reasons, thinking about the Air Force primarily. It was hard to even get an appointment with those guys at the time,
Yeah.
and then I couldn't do the Navy because I couldn't see myself wearing bell bottoms. And so I was leaning towards the Air Force, and I got that postcard in the mail. Same thing. It was around the end of my junior year, and I filled it out, sent it in, and the last question on the postcard was, "Have you ever considered joining the United States Marine Corps?" And I clicked no. I
Hmm.
checked no, put it in the mail. I get a call from Sergeant Kevin Love a couple days later, and asked me would I be willing to come in and talk.
Hmm.
And I said sure. So made an appointment, drove down there, and for me, here was the difference. I had talked to the Army recruiters. I had talked to a Navy recruiter. Um, I think I hadn't had an appointment, but had some conversations with Air Force recruiters. And and this isn't a knock on any branch of the service, but I think that there is a key of things that connect with us. I had some specific things in my life, in martial arts, other things that really kind of set me up for this conversation because it resonated with me in ways that other things might not have. But really, my conversations with everyone else was, here's a brochure, here's the opportunity, here's the college money, here's all the benefits. And Sergeant Kevin Love, he got, all, bug eyed and excited. He talked to me about his life. He talked to me about the things that he'd done,
Hmm.
the places he'd been, and it wasn't like he was some super war hero,
Hmm.
but there was a level of passion that connected with me about the reality of his Marine career, that attracted me and connected with me. And I didn't tell him, and I didn't actually sign up for like 2.5 months because I did want to make sure I got the type of job that I wanted.
Hmm.
But I made my decision inside of 15 minutes that I was going in the Marine Corps
Yeah.
after sitting down with Kevin Love.
Yeah. I knew in 5 minutes, and it kind of boiled down to this. I knew that I wanted to serve my country, but I didn't want to be a keyboard warrior. And I
Right.
didn't want to be a pencil pusher. I didn't want to be sweeping the floors. I didn't know that you join the Marines and you become a professional cleaner. That's really what you become.
Right.
But it instills a lot of discipline. But I knew in 5 minutes. I mean,
Mm.
and I think the thing that sold me was if I went to combat, who would I want to be with? Do you
Mm-hmm.
want to be with the best
Yeah.
or not?
Right.
That's the decision you get to make,
That's it.
right? Now, if you want to be the best and drop bombs out of the sky, go join the Air Force,
Yeah.
right? But if you're going to put your boots on the ground and go see something, uh, and really get in the mix, it's the Marines.
Yeah.
Marines are first in, last out. They're kicking down the doors. They're the ones that are really taking the names. Now, there's nothing wrong with the conventional army, but they just don't fight the same way. The closest to the conventional army or the in the army would be the Rangers,
Mm-hmm.
is on equivalent to the Marines,
Yeah.
right?
I love every branch of service, and I respect the fact that every branch has a different mission.
Yeah.
And just like within the Marine Corps, the different parts of the air wing has a different mission than, the artillery and the infantry. And so people train differently, spend their money differently. But, make no mistake, my purpose and destiny was tied to being a Marine. And I've always felt that way. I was glad, one of the greatest decisions that I made. And I'm proud to always be a Marine. So, and a Berkner Ram.
Yeah, absolutely.
I did not know that. Okay, well, great. So now let's start talking a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey. And man, we'll wrap up the first segment here. But you started as an entrepreneur even while you were still in the Marine Corps. Is that correct?
Yeah, it is. I had a 69 Mustang as my first car.
Okay.
September 11th happens. I find out that we're going to Afghanistan and we're having to gear up for a pre-deployment and training. And basically, I had this Mustang and I had to figure out what to do with it because the commander came to the Marines and said, "Get your shit off the base. Clean
Wow.
out the barracks, pack your gear, you're shipping out." And so I had this car on the hobby shop and I had three options. I either could sell it. I knew I wouldn't get my money back. I had sunk years of money into this, tens of thousands. And then I could just put it in storage, but I didn't store this car because it was the coupe body style, not the Mach 1, and that was my dream car.
Right.
So I decided to part it out. I parted it out in the barracks room, and I made $90,000 in profit in
Wow.
9 months selling car parts. I'd get off of work at 4:30, go home, and I would sell car parts on eBay as eBay was starting to ramp up.
Yeah.
I sold so many car parts that my sergeants thought I was selling drugs out of the barracks room. They no shit came in and did an inspection, kicked down my door, and said, "Where are the drugs at?"
Oh, my goodness.
Tossed my room and could not believe they couldn't find anything. They were dumbfounded. They wanted to know, how does a private have more money than the sergeants do?
Wow.
And they made me prove to them what I was doing. And that is how I got started with really online selling and learning how to make money through the internet. And
Okay.
that was the first business. And it was so successful that I ended up selling that to a friend and took royalties on it for a while.
Wow. But listen, I'm gonna start a watch party here. We're gonna take a break, and we'll be back in just a couple of minutes. You need to make sure that the business owners are listening. We're going to talk a little bit more with Alex Fender from Funnel Science, and you're definitely going to get your money's worth today. All right, we'll see you right after the break.
3, 2, 1. KVGIRadio.com.
Y'all really just opened my bubble and just...
KVGI Radio brings you conversation and entertainment. Be sure to follow us on social media. Who streams the best talk shows? We do.
You're listening to KVGIRadio.com. Streaming live from the KVGI studios in Frisco, Texas. Live without limits.
All right, we're back with Alex Fender, the founder and CEO of Funnel Science. Just getting into his story here. And again, if you're listening, I just started a watch party. I know plenty of you are out there listening. Man, share this story, especially to the business owners. You know, you're going to learn some things. I've already learned two things. One, that we went to the same high school. And I did know that your first business started out with parting out cars, but I did not know that you did it in the barracks room as a private, and you made $90,000 off of that first vehicle that you started parting out off that fledgling little internet enterprise called eBay. What year was that?
That was in 2000 and 2001.
2000, 2001. Wow.
And then I was done with it in 2002. And somebody else had taken it over.
Okay.
And it just kind of happened just through somewhere between dumb luck and fate. I mean, that was God's destiny for me to figure this out. I was buying a car. I bought this exhaust kit for this Mustang, those chrome side pipes, and I bought them for $120, and I think shipped to my house it was like $140. When I put it on eBay for sale, I sold it for $500.
Wow. Wow.
$500.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot of money for a private. I think that was my whole pay
Yeah,
for the
yeah.
month back then, you know? And so I scratched my head and I go, man, I wonder if I can do this again. So I took $260 and I went and bought 2 more kits. I put $240 in my pocket. I think we went and bought some beers for the barracks room that day or something. I don't know, but we had a good time. I put those 2 kits back on eBay, and again, I sold them for $500.
Wow.
And so I said, man, there must be something here. So again, I went back and I just flipped that money and I just kept doing it. I sold so many of these car parts that I had to manufacture on back order. They actually called me up. They're shipping to a military address, not,
Okay.
a normal business address.
Right.
And so they called me up one day and they said, what are you doing?
Is this a government contract?
Like, what's going on here? We're on back order and you just ordered 20 more. Why are you ordering so many of these? And I said, don't worry about it. Just send them to me. When's the shipment gonna come?
Mind your business.
And that's what I did. I just kept selling them and selling them and selling them. I sold them to Australia, Mexico, to China, to the Middle East. I was shipping these around the world, and I started learning about how to sell, but how to be more effective. And at a very early age, really before what's called A/B testing became mainstream, I started A/B testing version A and version B. And this is the first test that I did is I tested free shipping, or a higher or a lower price, and you pay for shipping. So I did version A, free shipping, version B, you pay for shipping, lower price. Which one, Urshel, do you think got the best sales?
Free shipping.
Hands down, free shipping. It's now 2020, 20 years later, and businesses still haven't figured out, just raise your price and give away free shipping, and you'll get way more sales.
Yeah.
This is a struggle that a lot of companies still seem to face, and it's just a simple test. Just put your product out there, give it free shipping at a higher price, or do the regular way you're selling it and see which way gets you better results.
Yeah.
And these little tests, this is how you learn in your business on how to make it more profitable. And you wouldn't think that this would make such a big difference, but it did. I mean, we're talking gangbusters more sales. And here's what I did on it. I looked at all my shipping rates across the country, and I figured out what the average rate was. And I think it was like $35. So I just raised the price by $45 to give me a $10 buffer.
Right.
And the majority of the time I came out ahead at a higher profit than I would have paid collecting the shipping charge.
Right.
And then the customers loved it because I was shipping a box that was like 40 pounds or 50 pounds that was about 5 or 6 feet long through the mail. So shipping was going to be real expensive on that.
Right.
Take that burden away. They don't have to think about it. They don't have to put in their zip code or check the price. Nope, here's the price. Do you want it? Yes or no? Yep. No. Click. Boom. It's at your. And then one thing I also learned about that is, man, UPS, they used to drive their dang forklifts through my boxes all the time. And so I used to not insure the packages, and then I started insuring the packages for the value of it, $150. And then I learned how much time it would take. I would lose the customer. I would be out 2 units. I would ship it out. I'd have the cash into the first unit and the shipping cost. Then UPS would run the forklift into the box, so now I'd have to order another one. And basically, I'm tied up 2 units for that one. So UPS did this to me so many times that I finally said, you know what? I got to insure it not for the value of this, but I have to insure it for the sales value of what I'm actually losing on those.
Right.
And so then I started insuring my packages for $500, and I was like, fine, just go ahead, run your forklifts in there. I'm going to make a profit off of you every time y'all screw up like this.
Wow.
And it was such a burden, but it became a very pivotal way to learn. Just A/B test. Do version A, version B, put it in front of your customers and see which one they want, and then pick the winner.
Wow. Wow. So that was your first business as a private
Yep.
in the United States Marine Corps. Had a successful exit, sold the business, collected some royalties on it. And so then what happened next as far as your entrepreneurial journey?
Well, my really only claim to fame in the military is I was a guinea pig. I was
Okay.
a Navy guinea pig. I have a prosthetic in my spine. I was the very first DOD member to have an artificial implant in the spine,
Wow.
and then I returned to full duty. So I got hurt on the honor guard. I ended up not going to Afghanistan.
Okay.
Did a burial at the National Cemetery in Dallas, and something happened, herniated a disc in my back, and had to go to the emergency room. So for the next 2 years, I'm on medical, and then the Marines nearly med-septed me twice. I was going to get medically retired at 20 years old.
Wow.
And I said, no, I joined to play this game. We're not done. You just need to give me the medical attention that I need. And so at that time, they basically separated me from active service,
Okay.
pending med board. That I didn't have a job. I didn't have the Marines giving me any income anymore.
Right.
They were paying for my medical, but that was it. I was nearly retired, and then doing the VA process. So I had to start another business.
Okay.
And I couldn't work for other companies because I couldn't sit down, had the back pain, I was taking the drugs. It just wasn't good at that time. So finally had the surgery, 2005. Everything's better. Like, things are changing. But started a debt consolidation and mortgage business.
Okay.
And it was a national company. We grew it from just me and my partner, and then at the end there we had somewhere around 30 or 35 employees. That was the second business. Again, we got all of our customers through the internet, and we learned a lot. And one of the first things that I learned on this is the majority of the marketing industry, especially the SEO, is a scam. I'd say 95% of the SEO and digital marketing industry is a scam. And what to qualify that means you're going to meet 1 out of every 20 people that's not BSing you.
Wow.
And it typically breaks down into this. They either take your money and do no work. It's called the set it and forget it method. Option 2 is the spray and pray method. They're just going to blast it out there to anybody that clicks on your ad and then just hope you get sales. But there's no method to actually getting customers. And they're just clicking on your ad, and they send you this report, and they look at all these clicks you got.
Right.
I'm like, great, let me take these click report to the bank and deposit this, right?
Right.
My banker looked at me and said, you want to bounce this check, or is you going to
Right.
back this up with some other way? But that's what SEO companies do. They give you click reports, and they make you think it looks good, but you have no sales to justify.
Right.
The third thing that I've
Vanity
seen,
metrics.
just complete hogwash. The third thing that they do, they might be competent, they might be trained, but they don't execute on the work,
Okay.
right? So they're not lying to you about their capabilities.
Okay.
They've got the capabilities, but somewhere there is just a significant breakdown in the way they run. We hired and fired 50, not 1, not 2, 50 marketing, SEO, lead gen companies. You'd be like, Alex, why in the world would you hire 50 companies? Well, first off, I had a partner and an investor, and I did not make the decisions on my own. We made decisions by committee, and oftentimes I got overruled by a fancy sales pitch or some hot blonde that had sports tickets that gave to my business partner, and he'd take her up on that, and then boom, there we are, locked into
Closing.
a 12-month contract.
Right. Right.
It was in the summer of 2008. That's when I got out of the Marines. I had been activated to go to Iraq, came back. My business partner is stroking a check for $10,000. Said, hey, man, what you doing with that $10,000? Oh, I'm buying leads. Okay, cool. That was a normal part of our business.
Right.
I mean, we did this all the time. $20,000, $40,000 a week was a normal thing for us to do. I said, what's our close ratio on the leads that you're buying? And he said, just boom, off the cuff, 50%. He didn't reference a report. He didn't check the computer, nothing. Boom, 50%. I'm very analytical.
Right.
I knew better.
Right.
And I knew that I needed to check the data on this and check. So this was back when we were writing crystal reports. It took me about 2 weeks to get the report written in our database. I came back to him, and he's stroking another check for $10,000, and I slid the report across his desk, and I said, guess what our close ratio is on those leads? He said 50% again. I said, no, look, it was 0%.
Wow.
So he had stroked this check 8 times for $10,000. Now, fortunately, I saved our ass on that 8th one. We didn't send it. And you'd be like, well, how is he making this decision? Or how, like, smart man, why would he just be spending this type of money? Well, you cannot manage what you do not measure.
Right.
And he was not measuring the close ratio. And what we had somewhere around 7 to 10 sources of leads coming in, and we had a sales staff, I think at the time, of around 8 or 10.
Okay.
And so there was no clear tracking from lead to outcome.
Gotcha.
And so he was blindly making these decisions.
Based on all the lead sources.
All the lead sources.
Gotcha.
So when he turned this one lead source on, he knew that sales went up, and he attributed it to the newest lead source, not knowing that it was actually one of the more mature ones that we had been working for a while.
Gotcha.
And so this is a really common problem. People are blindly spending money. There's that age-old question in marketing. 50% of my budget's working, 50% is not. I just don't know which is it, right? That is the problem that still businesses face. We faced this years ago. It's been solved, but still I solve this problem on a weekly basis with businesses, that they are just blindly spending money, and it's because they don't have the analytics in place. They don't have the sales analytics, the marketing analytics, and rarely do they close the loop between their marketing or sales expense to the financial outcome in accounting. And that means tracking your return on investment.
Right.
It's basically closing the loop. How much did I spend? How much did I make? If you can't answer that question, then just shut it off, because you don't know what you're doing, and the people that are guiding you just don't know what they're doing. You're doing it wrong.
Wow.
And so you're going to make the same mistakes that we did. And 2 years ago, I was at Momentum, Texas, and Wade Myers, the national or the annual meeting, and Wade Myers was speaking, and he actually said something. Most entrepreneurs make the same mistake 50 times.
Right.
They keep making the mistake, and they keep trying to do it a different way and try to improve on it, but it's somewhere around 50 times, and then finally you have that aha learning moment. I'm not going to do this again.
Right.
But then you're going to figure out the right way to do it, the way you should have done it from the get-go.
Awesome. So, Funnel Science is the company that you've created, and technology that you have developed. I think you said because you were a frustrated salesman, and I forget what the other one was.
And a pissed-off Salesforce consultant.
Gotcha. Okay, so tell me about the difference at Funnel Science. What are you doing for your customers? Now, I have literally seen, you've shown me data on how you took one company from a 10-month sales cycle down to like just over a 30-day sales cycle. Is that correct?
Just under 30 days.
Just under 30 days.
Yep.
So what is the technology and strategy of Funnel Science? What are you doing that's creating that type of difference for your clients and customers?
Step 1, always put the analytics in place. Again, you cannot manage what you do not measure, and what's measured can be improved. That's on the sales side, the marketing side, the finance, anything you're trying to improve. If you start measuring it and tracking it, you can improve it. So that is always step 1. What we do at Funnel Science is we set up the sales funnels, we manage the marketing, and we have our software called Funnel Science that provides a very robust tracking, but it also makes it very easy. One thing I've learned with working with lots and lots of salespeople is they don't like to take notes.
Okay.
They work the lead. The customer says, yeah, I want to sign up, but there's no notes in the system.
Yeah.
And so we solve that problem. If we do voice transcription on phone calls, automatically added to the record. So our CRM has that one feature in it. We have about 40 modules in the software. It's a closed loop marketing system. So to call it a CRM is shortcoming many of the features to it. It's a plug and play, and it directly helps companies increase their sales. And it ties into online systems, but it also works with radio, TV, print, and things like that. The software was designed to make sales and marketing easier, and specifically to know where I'm spending my money and where I'm making my money find the holes in the funnel so I can plug them. And then once I plug the holes in my funnel, you should get more sales out of it. But then there's also features built in. Speed is a weapon. This is something I learned in the Marine Corps. And the Marine Corps builds a warfighting plan. And when we go to fight a mission, we go to win. We don't fight a mission to lose. Well, it's the same thing in marketing. We set up campaigns. We spend money. Now, if we spend the money and we lose,
Yeah.
we're going to go out of business.
Right.
Or we're going to have a major problem. Maybe we can't pay the rent or pay the bills, right? And so within building the campaigns, we're setting up campaigns and driving sales for our clients. We work with all kinds of businesses, daycares, doctors, lawyers. I've worked with worm farms. I'm working with boat companies that do like lift motors, cars, bought and sold cars,
Wow.
diamonds, jewelry, anything that's for profit. It's e-commerce or service provider is who we help.
Okay. Okay. And so, wow. So I think about, like you say, when I came home in 2009, it was a great time to be changing careers, by the way. And so I ended up in the insurance industry. I ended up cold calling and doing all this stuff and having, my book, just kind of like you said, my call sheets where, I'm dialing for dollars and calling, I'd go home bragging about, I made, 500, calls with my little fingers today and talked to this many people to set this many appointments. And, I'm clicking off how many times I've called this person and whether they hung up on me and all of those things. And I was just talking to my wife the other day about, how foolish that was and something that I'm trying to do now to help people that are in that, what I call para entrepreneur space, where you are kind of running your own business. You're 1099, but you're not really an entrepreneur because it's not your thing that you created, but you got to run it like a business. But, I just think about my experience going from there until now and how little data, anyone ever cared about, but pretending that you care about the end number. And it seems like you don't really care about the end number if you don't care about the process.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I did the same thing. My first professional job was working at a debt collection agency, and I sucked at debt collection. I was a horrible bill collector. Fortunately, though, they found out I was really good at talking to people and sales, and my favorite subject in school was show and tell. I was
Really?
always good at show and tell.
Nice.
And I remember I had this list that was thrown on my desk. I had no sales training. They didn't tell me very much. The partner didn't even really want me working on the sales. He's like, "Why is this guy going to work here? He has got no experience." I just figured it out, and it ended up making one of my best days. I made 17 sales in one day.
Wow.
And it was dialing for dollars, just like you said, off of a list. And then I did version A and version B on my sales script. But I would write down like how many calls, and then I'd say on this call I did script A, and on this call I did script B. And so I was always trying to tweak my messaging to get to a better outcome. But I knew there had to be a better way.
Yeah.
I knew instead of just banging the phones every day, I was tired of that. I wanted people to come to me and find me.
Right.
I wanted, like the internet business that I had selling car parts, they found me. I just put up the listing, and then so that's what I worked for years trying to solve is how do I get people that don't know me, that have never heard about me before, how do I get them to find me, call me, and then want to pay me money for what we can offer.
Right.
And so that's what a sales funnel is. You set up something that gets awareness, gets the attention out there, and then brings them in through a step-by-step process, not on how to sell them something that they don't want, but to show them here's a solution to the problem or the situation that you're facing that can help you out, right? And then if you put that structure in place and then don't do the spray and pray method. That doesn't work. On average, only 3% of your company's keywords will bring you paying customers. So if you're targeting all wrong 97%, you're going to have that problem. Lots and lots and lots of clicks. Your reports look great, the vanity metrics, but you have no sales.
Okay.
And so the internet is an amazing thing. I've picked up customers from around the world. Most of my customers I've never met face to face, but I talk to them all the time. They've been paying me for years, and they find me through the same mechanisms that I've done for myself and for my clients and that I've done for the other businesses.
Right.
And really it's kind of simple. You find people that have a problem. They're going to be typing in a keyword into Google, or they might be sharing some information. Just reach out to them through an ad.
Right.
Google Ads is a powerful thing. They make $100 million a day.
Wow.
Let me restate that. Google makes $100 million a day with Google Ads. It's that effective. That's how
$100
much
million a
trust
day. Wow.
and faith businesses have in it, and it works. But a lot of businesses get horrible results from it because, again, they are not tracking the results. One of the most powerful things to do for a business is to track your phone calls. Tracking your phone calls, if you're dialing for dollars, if that's your moneymaker is the telephone, you need to know what's going in and out of that on a daily basis, and then reconciling that report. I've seen businesses that complain to me that they're not having enough sales, and then I put the call tracking in place, and the first thing that I discover is they're not answering the phone.
Wow.
And you'd be like, well, this is ridiculous. Why wouldn't a business answer the phone? Turns out there's lots of reasons. But if you don't track the phone calls and know if you're answering the call or not, or you don't know that your sales staff is answering the phone, or I've seen receptionists that spend all their time at the water cooler talking to JoJo over there instead of doing their job and talking to the parents and getting what they're paid to do.
Right.
And so it really just boils down to you cannot manage what you do not measure. It is so important. If you're getting bad results in pretty much anything you're doing, whether it's fitness or finances or paying off debt, set up a plan where you can track the results and have clear milestones towards success. And you'd be amazed at what happens from that.
And I had the opportunity to see the data. And for those of you listening, this is Alex Fender with Funnel Science. You can go to his website at funnelscience.com. I encourage you to do so. But again, when I was down at your office yesterday, and just in 10 minutes of you kind of showing me this system that you've developed, that really does fill in the goals or the holes, and I saw exactly what you're saying. So this percentage of calls went unanswered. This percentage of calls, only lasted, a minute or less, which is identifying some things. And so as you look at your clients, let's say, obviously there are the clients that are the most compliant, listen to everything you say, follow all of your advice and get results. And then, just like anything else, there are the people that, you wonder why do you still pay me if you don't listen to anything I say or do anything that I recommend do. But typically, what type of results based on especially tracking those calls? I think that's amazing. For those of you in the Dallas area, before we get done, we're going to talk about this because Alex is going to be our first instructor for Veteran Optimized, who's going to be doing one of our Advance and Accelerate events. And one of the things that people will experience there is the call tracking system and how that can impact their business. But what are typically the results that you see in the companies that you work with? And what are the things that make your clients go, wow, Alex, so glad we found you?
Gotcha. So the typical results are somewhere between 90 and 120 days from the day we get started.
Okay.
And the reason for that is month one is typically a setup time. Normally they're bringing us either a train wreck and we got to fix it, or there's nothing created and we got to build it all from scratch.
Gotcha.
Okay. Typically month two is the baseline period. We turn it on and just see the preliminary results.
Okay.
And then by month three, the 90th day, that's when we're doing the first set of testing. So month 3 compared to month 2.
Right. Okay.
And then when we get to 120 days, we've then done 2 full optimizations.
Okay.
And so it's this A/B testing that we're doing. Well, as soon as we start, from very day one, we see the results of A/B testing.
Okay.
Let me give you one that recently happened. One of my clients had mentioned on an email drip campaign that the leads, we were setting up A/B tests for emails. And he said, you know what, I heard that you would get a much higher result if you put your bio pic in your signature line. And when Eric said I said, oh yeah, I think that's a great idea. I've seen lots of people that have put their bio pic in there. So I set up this A/B test, and I put version A, no bio pic. Version B had my little face. It was like a little small square right next to my signature line. Ran that test multiple ways, and every single way, the biopic email failed.
Wow.
Not just email 1, but email 1, 2, 3, and 4 had, so that's 8 different emails templates that we're talking about. 4 of them had biopics and 4 of them didn't. Now you'd say, well, man, you're an ugly guy, Alex. You must be scaring people away. Maybe that's the case. I don't know. So then I wanted to cross-validate this test, and I did it again on a different business. And I again wanted to figure out, does the biopic actually help you get more sales? So on LinkedIn, man, this is super important. If you don't have a good mugshot, it's a real, I mean, it will make or break the success of your outreach.
Wow.
And I've done this. I remember running a test years ago with the cowboy hat. And I had a cowboy hat. I had a picture with wearing my cowboy hat. And I'm a Texan.
Right.
I drive a truck. I have boots. I do the whole thing, you know. I remember I was like, hey, I'm going to put this cowboy hat on because that's kind of who I am. I'm from Texas, and there's this old saying, you can hang your hat on that. So then I had 3 pictures, one of me wearing the cowboy hat, one of them on the wall, and then I had another picture without the hat on.
Okay.
Now I'm a Google nerd. I mean, let's just be honest about it. I'm a tech guy.
Right.
I deal with sales and marketing. Now, do you think my customers want to deal with the cowboy, or do they want to deal with a computer nerd?
A nerd.
Right?
Yeah.
That's what the result was. But
Wow.
I thought, my belief was that you can hang your hat on that people would get that that's a symbol of trust. Nobody knew
Right.
what that meant.
Right. Right.
I had 8x more sales on the page without the hat on than the 2 other pages with the hat. And then I said, well, maybe it's the color of the hat, because there's what's called white hat and black hat. So then
Right.
I did that. I did white hat and black hat. And then I started doing deeper testing on this. And I was like, well, surely the white hat's going to win. No,
Right.
it did not win. It did slightly better than the black hat, but it still didn't work. And then I actually had customers start asking me, are you a black hatter? I said, no, I'm one of the most ethical guys there is with this. I mean, here's clearly your sales results. And they go, well, you got a black hat on your website. And I just, what an idiot. Like, I am sending the complete wrong message.
Wow.
Had I not been testing, had I just put that out there and left it as it is, I would have been getting horrible results. Probably would not have been sustainable.
Wow. And you know that, and I guess the overriding theme is really being able to measure what you're doing, and pay. You know, as I look at the people that have joined as we've been talking, you know, there's a martial arts school where my son's going to be going, Samurai Karate here in Frisco. There are countless realtors that I see. There are other technology people, and lots of entrepreneurs. And, you know, and again, lots of people like you have come up and they've banged it out. They've made their scratch. They're having levels of success. But to those types of industries, like this, I know I saw one school that you were working with, but, you know, martial arts school, things like that. Are these the type of people that you're typically helping?
Absolutely. I've worked with martial arts, lots of schools, private schools, for-profit schools, nonprofit schools, apartment complexes. It's basically, if you're trying to get customers from internet or from your advertising, that would be something that this works for.
Okay.
And so it's not exclusive to just Facebook or just Google. This also works on email, print, TV, radio. We even do this for billboards.
Wow.
And so one of the techniques that we do with billboards, I had a client that was an apartment complex, and they would put these billboards up with these chicks in bikinis around the pool, and it's some tongue-in-cheek saying nothing about the apartment complex.
Right.
And I kept talking to him. I was like, why do y'all think that works? Your customers don't know what this is. Are y'all selling access to a pool? And one thing that was funny was some of their keywords was apartments with topless pools.
Topless pools.
Now,
Wow.
they don't have anything to do with topless pools, right?
Right.
But that's what they were triggering with this billboard. So I challenged them. I said, hey, the next time we put up a billboard, let's do version A and version B on this. On this property over here, on this placement, do whatever you want. But on this other placement, and they weren't too far away from each other, there's similar traffic patterns, same zip codes. I said, I want you to take my best performing ad on Google, and I want that to be your billboard. They said, okay. Guess what they did after that? They stopped putting the chicks in the bikinis on their billboards, and they started using the data and the marketing science to make better informed decisions.
Wow.
And it had an amazing result. And what ended up happening is these apartments got to 98 and 99% occupancy. And so when you get that high, we drop the ad budget, save the money.
Gotcha.
And so this type of thing works very well for any sort of service provider or any kind of e-commerce business. This stuff works.
Wow.
It's not rocket science. We're not having to.
It's funnel science.
It's just funnel science. It's putting a sales funnel in place and using the data science. That's the tracking and the analytics. And then then with humans, it's a social science. We're not always going to act or behave the same way. Like I said earlier, I woke up at 3:30 this morning, so that's going to alter how I think and behave later on this afternoon. Right. And so if you try to sell me this afternoon, hey, good luck, because I'm probably not going to be in the right mindset to hear it, right? So that's the social science on it. But the data science is very precise. When you combine these together, what you'll see is humans behave in patterns. We're animals. We're creatures of habit. If you notice, there's what's called the rat race. People flow the same way. If you look at traffic patterns, they flow the same way in the morning and the same way in the afternoons, right? And so you are able to group people in segments, okay? So here's a segment, millennials. I had a client, they said, old people don't buy on the internet. I showed them, this is literally what they said to me. I showed them their Google Analytics report, and it turned out the audience 65 and up was their #1 segment for the most sales.
Okay.
But they told me that they don't sell to old people. And I said, this is crazy. Why do you think this? And then I had another business, a bakery, and they told me that they only sold, it was a mail order business, they had been around for 130 years, and they said their customers were only 70-year-old women and older, and they're dying off, and Alex, we need your help. And I said, this is ridiculous. You're not a geriatric bakery here. Right? I mean, they sell cookies and pies and deli sandwiches, and they've been around for 130 years, an iconic bakery. And I had to prove to them in a test that we could sell to women 55.
Wow.
They said, no, you can't. Our customers, we know our customers. They're only 70 okay, let's do it. Version A, I'll run it your way. Version B, let's run this test.
Okay.
So we actually got it down to where we can sell to the age group of 35 and up. For some reason, this brand does not have a strong connection in their millennial audience.
Okay.
And so for me, it's pretty obvious. They've got their marketing set up wrong. How can a bakery not sell pies and cookies and cakes to teens and 20-year-olds, right?
Yeah.
Because the product doesn't appeal to them, right? That's why. And so why doesn't it appeal to them? Well, we have a 70-year-old woman that's in charge of the marketing that's taking pictures that looks like it was produced in 1950.
Wow.
And so these are some disconnects that I see oftentimes with marketing people, that they're not trained, they're not competent, they're not tracking, they're preset in their mind and their biases, they're unwilling to test, they're not tracking the results, they're not testing, and they really don't know. So they're blindly going at business day by day, making these types of decisions. And then they wonder why they're getting bad results from it.
Right. So we got just a couple of minutes left. And ladies and gentlemen, you're out there listening. You know, Chantel's out there. She's a personal trainer. She's doing a great job. She's marketing really strongly on Facebook, and she's got a unique approach, especially designed for women. And she's a veteran and has had some injuries. And so her exercise is based on the trampoline to reduce impact on the hips, knees, you know, things like that. She's got some, you know, great events coming up. You know, lots of entrepreneurs that we're seeing out there that are starting out with that limited budget. Can they get in the digital market without having a big marketing budget?
Yes and no. I mean, it's really depending on which environment they're in.
Okay.
But yes, there are low-cost strategies. Google may not be the right channel to do that. Google's an auction, and you're going to have to bid to be in that auction. And some of the competitors are bidding heavily in there. I mean, I'm talking per click. I've got clients that are spending $50 per click. For my own business, we were spending anywhere from $150 to $300 a click. So Google may not be the right source, but Facebook is very cheap. Facebook is very effective, and they have been stealing market share away from Google for years. And Facebook is probably one of the best ways. But if you don't have money for an ad budget, one of the simplest things a business can do is literally pull out an iPhone or an Android phone and just do a 2-minute or less video and start sharing that or sending that out. And it's effective. It's a low-cost way that works in getting the message out. There are techniques to use for a business that's in the startup stage where they're bootstrapping. There's other techniques that you would use for a business that's got some traction and then ready to grow. And then you have more advanced techniques. But here's the bottom line. For a business to be successful, you can't have one sales funnel. If
Gotcha.
all of your customers are coming from one funnel, you're at 100% at risk.
Okay.
Because if that funnel cuts off, and it will cut off. Google will change the plug on you, or somebody will change something, and then boom, you don't have customers anymore. If you have 2 funnels, now you're 50-50. That's better, but you're still at risk. You need 4 to 7 sales funnels. When you have 4 to 7, that's when your business is most stable. You have customers coming in at you all the time, and you can pick and choose which one to turn on and off. And that's what businesses need to be focused on. So get that one going. Once you get one going, then get your second funnel going. And then when you have 2 funnels going, you might want to double down on one, get it going really good.
Right.
But the goal is you need 4 to 7 funnels. When you get there, that's when you can have rapid growth and real success in the marketplace. But if you're still struggling just to get one funnel going, I mean, that's what you have to do. Get that one moneymaker going.
Okay.
And then go from there. So Google, Facebook, YouTube, these are real common things. YouTube's the second largest search engine. You can take a video with your phone, answer a question. How do I fix this? Record yourself in a professional manner, put it up on YouTube, and next thing you know, people are finding you.
Wow.
It's freaking amazing,
Wow.
right? And then if you do a good job, people will call you. Well, you're probably not going to do a good job on your first video. So produce another one.
There you go.
Produce another one. Produce another one. Get 10 to 20 videos out there. And it doesn't cost that much money. I mean, we're talking really just your time to get it out there. There's no ad expense, right? You can put it in an email, put the link in there, and send it to somebody and say, hey, I thought this was real important for you. I want you to watch this video. I did that yesterday morning to a doctor in Tucson, Arizona. I picked up the phone. I cold called him, and I sold him in one call.
Wow.
And I did it with a compelling screen capture. I took a screen capture of his ad and his website, and I sent it to him. I said, you are doing this wrong.
Wow.
That's all it took.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're just a little bit over time. This is Alex Fender with Funnel Science. You need to go to his website and check him out. They can find you at funnelscience.com. It's probably the easiest way. If you're in the local Dallas market, Alex is going to be our Advance and Accelerate presenter on February 20th. And we'll be pushing that information out. You'll be able to register for that starting today. Every person that attends is going to leave with something that Alex talked about today that's going to help you to really begin to track the data and your sales process and marry up what you're doing as far as your marketing with what you're doing when you actually encounter the potential customer or client. And so check that out. Be looking out for that. You'll see it on Urshel Speaks. Go to Veteran Optimize and you'll see it there. That's where we'll be putting it out. But thank you so much, Alex, for sharing your time. I know you got a call coming up here right away, so we want to make sure that you can get that and not lose that business. But ladies and gentlemen, this is Urshel Speaks, probably the best business conversation that you're going to hear the rest of the year with Alex Fender and Funnel Science. So thank you. Have a great day.
Thanks, Urshel.